Welcome back, family, to Gamecock Hoops with Coop. And our mission on this channel is to grow the game of women's basketball, starting with our Lady Gamecocks. Gamecocks, y'all already know what happened last night. We were able to defeat the Auburn Tigers 81-51. Man, this shouldn't be a shock to anybody. You guys know I like to pull a message out of each and every game, whether it's the preview or the post-game analysis, right? When we take care of the 4 Ps from the previous video, they equal wins for our Gamecock club. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. The W stands for we won in the paint. Every team that we match up with, we must dominate the paint, right? We have the advantage. Joyce Edwards is a phenomenal player that can dominate the post play. With her being 6'3", of course, she's not the biggest player down low, but her footwork, her positioning, you guys saw last night. Once they got the ball in deep and she was able to stop, pivot, drop step, even if they decide to double or triple team her, she's starting to become aware of how to pivot out of it and snap that ball to the weak side of the court or the opposite side of the court. And the weak side of the court is just the side of the court that doesn't have the ball on it, right? We call a strong side the side of the court that does have the ball. So when she has it, in the post, she will pivot. Boom. Usually in that opposite corner is Tessa Johnson. And we already know old Tessa can shoot the skin off that thing. And she's shooting at a very high clip this season. So Joyce is able to recognize that. And man, I'm telling you, each game I see more and more improvement. She's definitely our scoring leader and our engine that really gets our team going on the offensive end. And she's starting to create chaos in the paint on the defensive end. Now, if you notice at the beginning of this game, right, notice the lineup. Who did Coach Staley go with? She went with the 4 guards and 1 big lineup. That gives this team a totally different look. And I'm not sure yet if teams are prepared for that. I think Coach Staley really liked the way that we got out against Vanderbilt. She's still experimenting with her players, seeing how different lineups work well together. I've noticed with that lineup, they play a lot faster and they flying around the court on defense, which is excellent. And speaking of flying around the court, McKeer, within the first 3 minutes, got injured, right? She has a knack for ripping the ball through, driving to the left, going to the lane. It seemed like they knock her off balance. She did the exact same thing. If you go back and look at the tape for the Vanderbilt, now the Vanderbilt game, she didn't get hurt. But this time, I don't know if they hip checked her or what, but seemed like, you know, she was kind of holding her hip, her leg area, and she wasn't able to continue. Now, I noticed in the second half, she at least was able to come out and sit on the bench. I think that Coach Staley said that she was in pain after the game, but hopefully, you know, maybe she just got a little bruise. I'm hoping it's not anything deep where she has to miss an extended time period because we're going to need her. She's a freshman, but she plays like she's experienced. You can see her progression. She's getting better and better every single game. Another thing I would like to see regarding McKeer, I don't know what workout plan they put Chloe on, right? But if McKeer get on that weight plan, get on that same weight plan that Chloe Kitts was on, man, she's going to be unstoppable. I'm saying it right now. She's already tough, but if she puts a little bit more meat on her bones, get a little bit stronger, hey, she already has the talent. She just has to get a little bit more of that frame, put a little bit more thickness on her frame. We already know we have great coaches on the strength and conditioning part of our staff because so many of our players come in with injury and we nurse them back to 100% health, whether it's torn ACLs or whatever. So we know we have that game plan, and I'm definitely interested in seeing McKeer's physical development, her body size and mass from her freshman year to her sophomore year. Tying this back into the W in our wins acronym, that weight room also contributes to the physicality, which we had last night. Again, Joyce down low, whenever they did the high-low, they would pass the Joyce at the high post. That's around the free throw line area. Okot, when she was in, she would seal her defender, you guys would notice, and it would be excellent passing between the bigs, right? From Joyce to Okot, from Okot to Joyce. Once you seal that defender and you strong and you sitting down on them, they passing the ball. It's an easy layup, right? So we control the physicality, letting us dominate or win the paint. Moving on to the letter I, and it stood for intentional defense. We played that Coach Staley lockdown defense. I think in the first half, the announcers were saying that this was Auburn's lowest output in the half all season long. Now, they're not a great offensive team. They usually average about 60 odd points or so a game, but we held them in the 50s while letting some of our players that don't get as much playing time play. We were on lockdown mode, right? Master locking up everybody, shooting the gaps. Once Maddie got in the game, Raven didn't play as much this game, but Maddie was shooting those gaps on the passing lane. If you made a lazy pass, she was laying that ball up on the other end. I think she had at least 2 or maybe even 3 breakaway steal layups, which is excellent. Pressuring their guards, making it uncomfortable. We were clicking on all cylinders as far as defense, because one thing we know, those quality wins on the road in the SEC, I don't care who you playing, they are hard to come by. But one thing that I know but one thing we all know, that offensive game may not travel, right? Sometimes when you get into March, the rim seems super tight. You can't make a shot. But one thing we know, that defense will travel. That hustle will travel. So if you ain't scoring, just make sure you locking down the other team until you get better or start knocking down your shots on the offensive end of the floor. Along with winning the paint and the intentional defense is another stat that ties to both, and that's rebounding, right? Remember in the last video, I was telling you guys that Auburn rebounds by committee. They're not a huge team. I'm looking at the stats here. They were spread out. Most people had in between 2 or 3 rebounds. Everybody that got in the game. Their leading rebounder was the number 6. I don't want to butcher the young lady's name, but she had 7 rebounds. But everybody else on their team had anywhere from 2 to 3 rebounds. They had a total of 30 rebounds as a team. We had 40, right? We always want to win that rebounding margin, and we want to win that points in the paint every single game, right? If we do that, we know that we're playing Gamecock basketball, and we're on a very good track to pick up a W in that particular game. The next letter in our acronym is N, right? And N stands for the next play mentality. Remember, we talked about on the preview playing with poise, and they did that, right? The missed shots, they didn't matter. When Auburn made a couple baskets back to back, it didn't matter. They were still locked in. There were absolutely no emotional swings, and part of the reason for that is when they came out, they jumped on their necks immediately, right? We talked about putting your foot on the gas. They put their foot on the gas. Guys, with all respect to Auburn, this was a game we were supposed to win. It was almost like a business trip, right? A business trip. Some games you watching, you got your popcorn. It feels like a heavyweight boxing match. Somebody throws a big punch, jab, jab, uppercut, hook, back and forth, like the old Rocky movies or something. You're like, man, I don't know, this thing's so good. They got me on the edge of my seat. But then other matches or other games, you like, look, we have more talent in this team. We have more skills in this team. All we need to do is stay focused and handle business. So this, in my opinion, was one of those games, instead of eating the popcorn and being on the edge of your seat, you just kind of sitting back like, yeah, nodding your head like, okay, that's what these Gamecocks, these lady Gamecocks supposed to do, right? They're doing what they're supposed to do by taking care of business on this road trip. And the last letter in WIN stood for Stars Showed Up. Joyce Edwards had a big game. Let me look at her stats again, y'all. Let me look at her stats really quickly. Joyce Edwards, in 24 minutes, she had 20 points, 9 of 14 from the field, 5 rebounds, only 1 assist this game, 4 turnovers. So not the best at distributing, but she took care of business in her 24 minutes. Tessa Johnson. Tessa is shooting great. 25 minutes. She had 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 out of 8 from three-point range, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. So Tessa did a good job distributing the ball and setting her teammates up to score, and only one rebound. Tanaya Ladson. Oh, let me speak on her. She only played 16 minutes. According to the press, she wasn't really feeling her best. So Coach Staley decided to hold her out. I don't think she played any in the second half. So prayers and hoping that Miss Tanaya Latson gets better, because we gonna need you, right? We're gonna need you, Tanaya, going forward. Fortunately, this was a game where you could get a little bit of rest and let some of our players that don't play as much get in, get some good experience, and build their confidence as we move forward to the SEC tourney and the March Madness tournament. Also, Crockpot Raven put in 25 minutes, only 4 points. She only shot the ball 3 times. She made 2 of them, had 5 rebounds. That was big. I think our guards rebounded really well. Remember, I was saying that was going to be big because they rebound by committee. We had to make sure we're boxing out who we're supposed to, because the weak side guards do crash in. So we had to do a good job boxing out, which they did. Turner Bees only had 2 points this game. She did have 4 rebounds, which was great, but seemed like she's picking up fouls super fast. So I think she's still getting adjusted to the physicality of the game. It's going to take time. She just got here, the beginning of this month. So, hey, give her some time, y'all. She's going to be a force to reckon with for sure, but she's still getting adjusted to the SEC play rather than playing in the professional league she was in France. But once she gets it down, she's going to be a headache for anybody to match up with. Also, I spoke about her earlier. Maddie came in, gave her some good minutes. She only shot the ball 3 times. She had 9 points, had a perfect game. 3 out of 3 from her field goals, 1 out of 1 from 3-point range, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Maddie does an excellent job on managing the game. I'm liking what I see from her. She's going to be in a big position. We know next year Ravens going to move on to the W. I also look for Coach Staley to get another point guard from the transfer portal, but Maddie is in an excellent position for her to have this team next year. Of course, we got some great recruits coming in that's going to challenge that spot, but as long as Maddie keeps progression, it's going to be her position to lose, right? At South Carolina, they keep the pressure up on you because there's so much talent that Coach Staley is able to recruit. But, hey, it's her position to lose. And if she keeps developing, she'll be able to step in that role and lead our Lady Gamecocks at the 1 position next year. Medina Okot didn't really get that many minutes this game, letting some other people play. She only played 16 minutes, 5 points, 2 out of 2 from the field, 6 rebounds. That's what we need you to do. No assists, 2 turnovers, right? Another young lady that I liked her game, this particular game, was McDowell. She played 25 minutes. She had 8 points, 3 out of 7 from the field, 2 out of 6 from 3-point range. I really think she can shoot that 3 ball and kind of stretch the floor a little bit for us. She played super hard. She had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and only 1 turnover. And once we jumped out, got that lead, kind of showed our dominance. This game was really a game where we were able to let some players that don't usually get as much playing time get some SEC experience, because, hey, it's going to take everybody to end this season the way that we want to end this season this particular year. So we need that next man up, or we need that next woman up mentality so that they'll be ready to step in whenever they're called on. And those 4 things will always be the equation to our Lady Gamecocks wins. Winning the paint, intentional defense, next play mentality, and our stars showing up. Man, it's game over if we execute on those things. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. I'll share what I think, and you guys can share your comments and your thoughts in the comments. First question, Gamecock Nation, who owned the night? To me, I'm going to give Joyce Edwards the nod there. I think she did what she was supposed to do. She got us out to a fast start, and she owned the night. I'm going to give player of the game to Joyce Edwards this particular game. If you disagree or if you agree, drop it in the comments and let me know, y'all. All right, the next question we have, where did the game turn? For me, whenever we jumped out on them and got the lead immediately, they were never able to recover. Mike Tyson old saying is, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I think we got out, we punched them in the mouth, and that's where the game already turned. We kept our foot on their neck and like, hey, we just not gonna be able to do it. If you agree, if you disagree, it's fine. Like I always say, y'all, talk to me, I'll talk back. Leave it in the comments so we can talk about it, right? The cool thing about when you're discussing or talking about or analyzing sports, you don't have to always you don't always have to agree, but I like to hear different insights and different perspectives so that I can open up and maybe broaden my horizons and be like, hey, I didn't look at it that way. So y'all talk to me, y'all let me know. And then the last thing I want to ask, because I like to respect each and every opponent, is what did Auburn do well, right? Or why didn't it work for them? Because of course in the SEC, shout out to all of these young ladies. These ladies probably been training since they came out the womb. So I want to respect each and every young lady that gets on the floor and compete. For me, I think Auburn does a good job on their defense, being in the passing lane. They force you to make some turnovers. I think Raven early had some turnovers, some forced passes. We know Joyce has some forced passes. And I think it's just their cleverness on defense to really jump in those passing lanes and make you make super accurate passes. But you guys may have a difference of opinion. If you do, let me know down in the comments. If you guys are interested in hearing more analysis and previews, I'm also going to do other videos just concerning our recruits. But every game, I'm going to be doing a preview and a post-game analysis or recap. If you guys are interested in hearing more than that, and more importantly, growing the game of women's basketball, starting with our Lady Gamecocks. Make sure you like this video. It helps us in the algorithm. Share it, comment, whatever you want to do, right? And until next time, go Gamecocks.